Good morning, YouTube. It is Sunday in the great state of Texas, and this workspace might not look familiar to y'all, but this is one of the last projects that I did in my old workspace. So I had all of this epoxy left over, had some pink glitter, and decided, you know what, I didn't want to transport this old epoxy to the new house, so I decided to take that, a 5-quart bucket, some glitter, and make what I refer to as the last dance bowl. So just like, everything has a beginning, everything has an end. So this was and is the last blank that I made in the old garage prior to the move to the new shop. So I did this in the end of July. I'm doing the commentary in September. You guys are probably watching this in either January or February of 2022. So a lot of time has passed, but a little bit nostalgic about this one. So got everything mixed up, put it in the pressure pot, and just like that, we're in a new workspace. So that was the last time I worked in that workspace, and this is the new workspace. And I'm sure you guys have seen my videos since then. So about a month and a half later, this is what the epoxy looked like. So it didn't come out initially the way I imagined it being. So it's kind of yellow. My wife said it looks like champagne. So we're calling this the champagne bowl. So you'll see why at the end, because it kind of does look like champagne in a glass, but it's definitely not pink. A lot of sparkle. Really happy with how that looks. However, not too enthused about the overall presentation of it, but it's going to turn out nice, as you can tell by the thumbnail. It doesn't turn out too bad. So this is like one of the second or third projects I made in the new garage. So I had been practicing with some smaller blanks before we got a hold of this one, but at this point I'm still getting used to the chisels. So put a piece of pine on there, got the faceplate on, and now we're just turning it onto the lathe, get everything nice and lined up, and now we're ready to start turning. So the epoxy's been set up for about a month and a half now, so I really didn't have a lot of issues with the actual epoxy itself. It's just my hesitancy on the chisels. This is one of the larger blanks that I had done prior to doing some of the smaller blanks, just trying to get warmed up, trying to get back into the swing of bowl turning. So everything was going relatively smooth. I was having a little bit trouble with the layers that we were getting. So you got to take off that superficial layer like we do with all of our projects. However, I didn't want to just attack the epoxy. I just wanted it to go in there nice and smooth. Hit it with both the bowl gouge and the round carbide tool, getting everything nice and edged out, because my biggest fear is getting chip out, which I really didn't want to have to deal with. So this part went relatively easy. Now we're just sizing it up, getting the mortise built on the back end of it, and then we're going to reverse it on the chuck. So we went back with the parting tool, went back with the large and medium sized square carbide tool, just trying to get that to the depth that we want, and making sure that it's just the right size before we flip it on the chuck. And this part went really well. You could see the good ribbons that we were getting off. Even prior, you can see that the good ribbons that we were getting off, and you can see got all the chisels lined up the way I wanted it to. So now we're just taking that piece of pine, getting that all taken down, and then just coming back with the square carbide tool and just getting that superficial layer off, getting everything nice and neat and even before we start the actual gouging portion of it. And this one went relatively easy. I was kind of worried because the epoxy had been set up for so long. I was worried that was going to be a little bit more difficult on the chisels, but we really didn't feel any kind of a difference. So this little piece just popped right off. Not a lot of problems with that. And then we just took the superficial layer off, and now we're just getting everything nice and even before we start the gouging portion. And admittingly, this was a little bit, it was quite difficult actually, because of the color of it. I was really having a hard time judging where my chisels were and where exactly I was in the gouging process, because it was so hard to see, because it's not really translucent or clear, but it's kind of hard to indicate where the chisels touch. So if you don't go at the epoxy at the right speed and depth or angle, you're going to get a lot of chip out and problems. So I really didn't end up having any of those issues, but that was a concern with this project, only because it was so hard to see. So didn't have a lot of issues gouging anything out. Really took my time, small, slow, methodical type of strokes, just getting everything nice and even. Went back, hit it with the bowl gouge and the medium and the large round carbide tool, just getting everything taken out of there, because this is just pure epoxy, no wood on this one. So it felt a lot better on the chisels because I wasn't also having to go through wood, because if you do a mixture, you're going to have a lot of vibration, and that tends to lead into some other problems later on in projects. But overall was just really hitting the depth that we wanted. Here's a little bit different angle, and I'm really having to bend down on this one because the bowl is so shallow and low to the ground. So really having to get in there with the chisels and just really methodically do this. And I've learned over the past 3 years of doing this, slow, methodical process is a lot better than attacking it. Had to learn the hard way in a lot of other projects that really attacking the epoxy is not the correct answer. So now we're just basically taking the square carbide tool, getting the lip of the bowl to the size that we want, making sure everything is nice and even and flush before we call it good and start the sanding process. So basically by this time, got everything nice and neat the way I wanted it to. Sorry about the camera lighting. The door for the actual wood shop is open, so it looks a little bit darker in there. But you can see where my hand is. Got it to a nice depth. And this is all the shavings once we got everything done. You can see a lot of shavings on this one. It's about a medium size blank itself, so a lot of shavings everywhere. That's what we like to see. A lot of good ribbons, not that glass sandpaper stuff that usually flies off on some other projects, but real good ribbons. Really happy the way it turned out. So once we got everything cleaned up, now we're just going back, hitting it with the sandpaper, 380, and then we're going to work all the way up to the micro mesh and then start our wet sanding process. And that's really where you make your money and get your polish. And you can see here, translucent, real champagne looking. I would say that this is the champagne bowl. That's what I'm going to call this one, because it really does look like champagne. And my wife stole this, and now this is where I hold my Q-tips in the bathroom, if you're curious of what ended up happening in this bowl. So getting the wood wax on there, getting everything nice and polished, real nice and even. And then we're going to take it out into the sun so you can see just how cool it looks with the sun sparkling through it, and just getting a good real buffering on it before we take it out. So overall, real happy with it. Champagne bowl, you can see the sun just glistening through it. Absolutely love how this turned out. Using the rocks as an aesthetic, I think that really helps, especially with the sun. Looks kind of cool. Looks a little bit more professional than my other videos. So hope you guys like the project. Hope everybody's having a good 2022, and hope you guys are following me. So I'll see you guys in the next project. Peace. Alright, so project is done. So I'm calling this the last dance bowl, because this was the last full blank that I had in my old garage that I made before I moved to the new house. So technically this isn't the first thing I've ever made in this garage, only because this is still left over from my previous workshop. But just getting used to the chisels again, getting used to the lathe, the layout, the lighting. Sorry, I'm sure the camera stuff in the video was a little wonky, but overall, it turned out really good. The color did not turn out anywhere close where I thought it was going to be, but it looks pretty cool in the sunshine. So overall, getting back into it, I've literally been out of the garage in over a month. Let me see, August, September, almost 2 months, 2 full months almost out of the garage. But we got it done. It's successful. Got to keep the channel keep going. You guys are probably going to watch this. I'm going to say I'm going to post this in January, February of 2022. Today is September 23rd, 2021. But not too bad, not too shabby. So hope you guys liked it. Hope you enjoyed it. The last dance, only because it's the last dance, but that doesn't mean the party's over yet. So new garage, new workspace, getting to love it. So hope you guys enjoyed it. I'll see you guys in the next project. All right, peace.